Okay, welcome back to the regular meeting of the council. The date is Tuesday, January 2026, time is 7:01. We've just completed our closed portion, nothing to report out at this time, and we'll move to the item number 4 on the open agenda, adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Moved by Councillor Abbott, second. Councillor Broughton, any amendments, changes? No. Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you very much, Mayor Barry. If I could request my council, our council agree to, an addition, it will be item 14, new business. This is one, and the purpose of bringing it there would be to address the committee of the whole meeting, and the subtopic is to request attendance by the two tree committee members that were made the last application this open.
I heard it,
That. That's, yeah, oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
It's not working?
Yeah, it's working now.
It's working, okay.
So shall I begin again?
yeah. Go ahead.
So the request is that an item 14, new business, that I bring an item for addition to the committee as a whole before council for their decision.
Okay. Any other items?
It would be some business arising that will come out of the special council meeting.
Okay, could we add a brief discussion, under mayor and council on scheduling a special meeting, to follow up on our last special meeting that we agreed to have within 7 to 10 days?
Okay. 10.4. 10.5.
10.5.
Okay.
10.5, okay. Any other item? No, all in favor with the amendments?
Yes.
Sorry, before you vote, did you want to move?
I changed the order of items.
Sure, why don't we, we're looking to move item 10.1.2, which is Lions Bay Fire Corps Service Review. We'll move it to, item number, 9, just in recognition of the fire department being here, and I think, we can address that a little earlier in the schedule, so.
Which number 9?
It's item number 10.1.2, we'll move it to 9.
9.4?
9.1A.
9.1A.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Motion carried. Okay, with that, we'll move to public participation. Anyone in the gallery wish to? No, anyone online, raise your hand, please. Okay, no one. We'll move to item number 7, and that would be 7.1, the approval of January 6th, 2026, regular council meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Councilor Broughton, second by Councilor McLaughlin. Discussion, attendance?
I have none.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, a motion to move to January 12th, 2026 minutes. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Councilor Abbott, second. Councilor McLaughlin, discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah. Opposed, motion carried. Okay, business arising from minutes. Councilor McLaughlin and then Councilor Broughton.
Thank you very much. Mayor Barry and colleagues, I found many aspects of the January 6th meeting very disturbing. Here's why. At 6 p.m., the motion to go into close was defeated. I voted against going into close as there was absolutely no correlation to the publicly posted reasons for going into closed in the closed agenda. The closed agenda was substantially a blank sheet containing no specific topics or any background information to support going into closed. Nothing. I take going into closed meetings seriously. If the various requirements to support it are not met, I will be opposed. I'm greatly disturbed by the lack of understanding by some of the criteria necessary to go into a closed meeting. Also, once any decision has been taken, the decision is council's will. It's final. Casting aspersions has no place at this table. Minutes before the open meeting, which followed, councillors received electronic information that was near 3 weeks old. Had I been aware of the content of this information, in whole or in part, in any way of the many ways it could have been transmitted to me earlier, I would have voted in favor of going into closed. I wish I had received this important information earlier. Repeatedly brought up on January 6th was the failed special committee meeting. In the open meeting, myself and others were continually chastised for non-attendance on December 17th and not facilitating the earlier closed meeting. I found this behavior difficult to accept and not in any way in sync with the will of council, our code of conduct, or our respectful workplace policy. Our community deserves no less than best practice when it comes to procedures that will allow us to meet, be informed, discuss and vote, the latter without rebuke. This council can do so much better. Let's agree to put the last meeting behind us, not look back, and commit to begin doing better today.
Any comments on that?
I'll comment.
Okay,
Um, I definitely agree with what I just heard. I think I said similar things, although not prepared speeches, and certainly not as eloquently in the previous meeting. Notice Ron mentioned something about getting in the report. In actual fact, we got the report during the meeting, as I recall, and I didn't see it till the next day. So that's probably just a clarification. While the reason for going to close listed 2 items, there was only one in the addendum, and that report is the missing part. And I do agree that I hope this puts this behind us once and for all, and we can move on.
Can I just offer a suggestion to council?
we're going to go around the table, so could you hold that until we've gone around the
Well,
table, please?
before you do, might I suggest that you move any further discussion on this topic, given the audience before you, to later in the agenda, because I can predict how this is gonna go. And this is.
Okay, thank you very much.
To council, it's better placed at the end of the agenda to revisit it then.
Thank you very much, but I'd like to respond, but first I'm gonna go around the table to any other councilors wish to respond. Okay,
I'll
Councilor Cunliffe.
comment that had I had that information prior to my decision not to go into closed, it would have been different.
Any other councilors? Councilor Broughton?
Council is provided with a request to attend a meeting on December the 17th. And 2 very serious matters were indicated at that time. And to say I won't come, and the way special closed meetings are called is they're called by the mayor or they're called by 2 councillors. And when a meeting is called, it's the responsibility of council members to attend that meeting, if that's physically possible for them to do so. To decide whether you're going to attend or not, whether you like the topic or have an opinion on the topic or whatever, we are to attend meetings with an open mind, to hear the information. There was questions about the fact that staff were not in attendance, clearly because it was a meeting where staff needed to not be in attendance. the legal counsel, was in attendance. The reason why the legal counsel was in attendance was because legal counsel should be in attendance. So to say, I'm not going to attend unless I have all the beans in this thing. This was called at a late date because the information that came forward was available at a late date apparently. And I would trust that we should, if we're asked to come to a special council meeting, that we would attend that special council meeting and deal with the matters on behalf of the village. I sent a
Point of order.
message. I sent a message.
On a point of order, can you please be
Okay,
accurate?
Councillor Abbott, Councillor Bowden is speaking. We are going around the table. We allow each councillor member to speak twice. We'll go around the table. You spoke, Councillor McLaughlin has spoke, Councillor Cunliffe has spoke, and Councillor Bowden is speaking.
My point of
So
order,
please allow him.
my point of order is I've asked council to be accurate, not make inaccurate statements, especially ones they are suggesting that other people made.
Okay, I'm sure he feels he's giving an accurate statement, so
Very
we'll go
much.
back to Councillor Bowden. I'll start the clock again, Councillor Bowden.
Okay, I encouraged council to attend this meeting. I actually sent a message to the councillors. And one councillor said that
Help me get the tickety magazine.
I spoke to Councillor McLaughlin, who did indicate that he had a dinner that evening. Get it, I understand completely. And that he had an event on the Friday. I didn't have any more information I could provide him, and this is ahead of the Wednesday meeting. My understanding was, in my discussions with him, was that he was fully prepared to deal with whatever matter was coming forward at the January 6th meeting. I was quite astounded when three councillors chose to not go into closed session to discuss matters of serious matters for the village. And I just think it's really disappointing that we're taking so much time to deal with the matter. A meeting is duly called. We are to attend that meeting to perform our fiduciary responsibilities.
Mr. Blackwell, can you please allow Councillor Bowden to finish? Thank you.
Yeah, I've got nothing to do.
No, I know, but it's disrupting the conversation and debate. Please just remain silent until he finishes. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Bowden.
Okay, I'm concerned that there's a pattern of deciding to attend meetings and that is not an acceptable pattern. And I have on numerous occasions communicated with councillors saying that that I really believe it's their fiduciary responsibility to attend a meeting. I have received emails encouraging council members not to attend meetings, which I think is totally unacceptable. And I've challenged those on each occasion. So I think we need to work on in the best interest of the village of Lions Bay and to not have any gamemanship around meetings.
Councillor McLaughlin, I'll respond. Just allow me to respond and we'll go back around the table. I was hoping that this discussion could be had. Council had all agreed that we would put that on an upcoming agenda about that refers to absenteeism on duly called council meetings. But since you brought that up, I'll just contribute my feedback. So as we all know, the legislative right to call a special meeting, it can be held by two councillors and request a meeting. This has been done many times in the past. In fact, I think I've probably been out of the village, and the other councillors were aware of that. And I showed up by Zoom when I was over in Europe at least once or twice. So that's out of respect. I show up when two councillors call a meeting. The other legislative right is for a mayor to call a meeting if he deems that there is items that are of critical nature to the village. I was very specific in my emails. I outlined that Botany Creek was one of those items and labor was the second. And that was December 17th that I called that meeting and notified councilors by email of those two topics, Botany Creek, labor. December 17th, we failed to have a quorum. December 6th, all council was here, but struck it from the agenda. So I do take I think offense, because we will discuss this in a future meeting, but absenteeism has been chronic and associated with special meetings, of which I can identify the critical nature of every special meeting, and I will in the upcoming discussions on this. So I do respect your feedback, but in all due respect, the mayor called a special meeting because of those two critical items. They remain outstanding. At the last special meeting, we announced to reconvene a special meeting within 7 to 10 days. That was a week ago. So we've got 3 days. We'll discuss that later. And that was the item 14, is when will we have that special meeting? So we'll have that discussion and we can continue this. Is there any other comments before we move to the next
I have
item?
one comment.
Councillor Abbott,
I have one comment to make, and
and we'll go around the table.
if you must, I have a very short comment to make, and I'll make it again. Why I ask people to be accurate. If you're going to be accurate, especially because quote happened in a closed meeting, we were never told what the second item was. You put in the reason for closed labor. There was nothing on the agenda until after the meeting of the last meeting, when you finally gave it us too late, and we all said we'd attend. That's the crux of the matter. Our procedures bylaw calls for an agenda to be issued when you call a meeting. Issue an agenda and we all show up. Tell us you won't tell us what it's about, there's a problem. You have not duly called a meeting, you have not complied with the procedures bylaw. End of story, I've got nothing more to say.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, Crystal specifically, as the officer in charge of the agendas, asked me specifically what the agenda items were. I put those on that agenda, very basic, and I've got a number of emails, which I'm happy to disclose if other councilors want to do that. When we have a special meeting that's called by 2 councilors, I attend out of respect. When we have a special meeting called by the mayor, our discussion in the future will look at absenteeisms, but they are in excess, in some cases, of 10 meetings missed for didn't have time, had a dinner appointment, had to run to the airport, whatever it may be. So with that, any other comments before we move on? No, okay. Business arising, any other items?
That one.
Okay, Councillor Abbott.
On page 12, so we've got something on table to deal with the CEO's request to write a letter on EPC to the federal government that we've got on table. The second action item was for the CEO to share with council the draft report from Metro for which he was consulted.
You haven't got it.
You haven't got it yet? Okay, can we make sure that goes on the unfinished business log, which once again is not on the agenda?
Okay, Councillor Bowden.
Is the tree application, going to come up in this meeting? The follow-up on the tree application, which was,
It's not on the agenda.
It's not in the agenda, Councillor Brown.
okay, is it in we're talking about the minutes?
It's in no one.
Okay, could I ask when the tree application for 45,
Mr. Peebles.
Mr. Peebles' application will be coming forward to council
Crystal.
Next meeting, February 3rd.
at the February 3rd meeting? Okay. Okay, and just very brief item, just a piece of information. In terms of, there will be a task force struck on community hall fees, but we're currently collecting information from staff on the application of the fees, and in light of some of the damage that's occurred over the last number of weeks, I think we need to look at things like damage and the policy of the operations in terms of supervision, damage and so on. So anyway, that will come up in the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay,
with that, we'll move to item number 9.1A, and that's the Fire Corps Services Review. And the recommendation is that the chief officer be directed to undertake the recruitment of a full-time fire chief for the Lions Bay Fire Rescue at a total compensation of $152,000. Do we have a motion for that? Moved by Councillor Cunliffe, second. Councillor Broughton, discussion.
Carry on, Michael, go first.
Sure.
During the discussions of this, my understanding was that the leadership team of fire rescue would be updated on some of this information. Was that am I accurate on that, or?
Yeah.
That was a
Fire and
recommendation.
rescue leadership.
That was a recommendation. Did that happen, Mr. Blackwell?
In due course, it will happen. Once we have direction.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor McLaughlin and then Councillor Abishur.
Thank you very much, and cognizant that our fire and rescue folks are here, and I presume they've read the report. They may not know the whole background of how we got to that report. Either Mayor Berry or CIO Blackwell might kind of open it up, but people are less informed than those around the table are.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell, I'll give you the opportunity to go first, then I'll speak to it.
Sure, so, as council and
Everybody here okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Chief Dermscheid, decided that, he wanted to assume a different function, and step down in the role of fire chief. And instead just, fulfill the role of just a volunteer member, not just a volunteer member. So for quite some time now, the function has been sort of rudderless. The officers have been doing sort of double duty to try to fill the holes the best they can. And I would say, as I've indicated in the report, things are reaching a bit of a crisis point with regard to their ability to keep responding to that deficit of not having a chief. This has been a question mark for council. Council's been wrestling with this question mark for quite some time as what to do given sort of the limited resources that are available up against sort of the reality for the need of a sort of a fire rescue service. So with that in mind, council elected to take a step back and look at the whole service delivery model holistically, assess the whole thing to determine what is working well, what isn't working well, where to place the oil to deal with the squeaks and so forth. That report has been provided now to council. Council's had time to review it. There were several recommendations in that report. One of the recommendations is that in order to manage the increased load, which is a function of a number of things, new legislation, a playbook that keeps getting heftier almost every year. One of the key recommendations to stabilize the organization to be able to manage the ever increasing volumes of required paperwork that full-time fire chief would be the best way to go. So that's sort of the Cole's notes of the background. And on that basis, the recommendation and the report is before council.
Okay, I'll just add, I think all of council and the village have been in agreement that our fire department is one of the top and most exceptional fire departments of any small town, and we're well recognized throughout Lower Mainland and British Columbia as being really if you call it a farm team, so to speak, of a group that has, I think, it was disclosed that we've got over 30 former Lions Bay firefighters that are working in the Lower Mainland alone. So it's just an exceptional record. The last year, our fire department and many other emergency services stepped up and received accolades for your professionalism and conduct. I think we all feel very blessed that we have such a strong group and dedicated group supporting our village. When we were pressed as a council with where do we go next, we made the decision to seek some professional help on that, and that was pretty much to sort of support what we felt inside our hearts, and also the community, that the fire department was one of the most important organizations in the community. So we initiated that, and it came back, and it gave a glowing record of your service and contributions, and especially in the last year. It also highlighted that the chief's position was being managed by several in the fire department, and that it was a position which requires a full-time commitment. And so that was the leading recommendation. There were a number of other recommendations which support the fire department working in some cases with I would say bare bones equipment and in need of additional upgrades and so on. And so those will be attended to as well. And the report was very helpful. At our last meeting, council requested that we would speak to the fire department ahead of time. I think we were all a little bit surprised when the report came out in the agenda. We wished we would have had the opportunity to sit down with the fire department first and foremost, and then put the material in the agenda. But there's, sometimes things don't work out in perfect order. So with that, I'll just say thank you very much, and we really appreciate your service. Any other comments by the councilors? Councillor Abbott, Councillor McLaughlin, and Councillor Bartlett.
So I'll echo all the positives that have been said about the existing department and the members that are still here, some are present tonight. This report focused on the chief and probably didn't do justice to what the overall report said about your guys' service and contribution. So it was a lot more than you see in here. So thank you for that. I just want to focus on a couple of things that people may be clear about. The $152,000, it is explained in the report, but people might not have read it, is not the salary. The salary is $130,000. That includes benefits, or in the total package. And then there's the three options that were given here as what council can do. Option one was to maintain the current service level and leadership. We tried, to be honest. Before we got the report, we tried. We thought that was what we needed to do, was to repeat, and failed dismally in finding anyone. And I think that was because of there was a large amount of volunteerism in our previous fire chiefs, being residents. And then the second option was also something that we reviewed and had somewhat tried, the idea of moving on with a volunteer-based leadership and trying to increase it incrementally. So we have explored those two options, and I think the only option standing is the third option, which is what's been proposed.
Okay, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you very much, Mayor Barry. To our fire and rescue personnel, thank you so much on behalf of all of us, the council and the village. You are the heart of the village, and we see it every day, whether you're, I don't know where you find Santa, but you do, and you do other things, and you pull Ivy, and you just do a lot of good high profile things. This council so appreciates the void that was filled when former former chief left, and his commitment to stay on is just so wonderful and appreciated. And, you know, the lieutenants that are doing a hard job and the captains who are really stressed out. It's been since mid-spring since things have evolved to the point where the former chief left. I'm sorry it's taken us so long to get here, but we got enough data so that, and it was undisputed data. It gave us a broad range on everything from hoses to trucks to chiefs. And so we're able to move on that. And our commitment to the department is that we're not going to thrift out and do some kind of Band-Aid thing. We want to find the best person that we can to lead you and your team to even better stages. So again, to close, thank you very much for your service on behalf of certainly this council, but I know all of this community.
Councillor Broughton?
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo what's been said already, to a great extent, but, within the report, it appears that there was no search for a part-time, chief, which is not the case. I think as soon as we're aware, the council has been actively seeking ways to support Lions Bay Fire Rescue. Really valuing and understanding the incredibly important role that Lions Bay Fire Rescue plays, not only to the village, but to the commuters on the Cedar Sky Highway. So there was an attempt to find a part-time person, and without unsuccessful. Ultimately, in August, this is serious stuff. So a very serious report was commissioned to ensure that Lions Bay's that fire rescue is in good shape now, but also going forward in the future. So we're actively looking for ways to support and make sure that you're safe, that everyone is, that the people who you're trying to keep safe are be as safe as they could possibly be. And that you have the equipment you need, you have the training you need, you have the leadership that you need, so.
Councillor Conlon?
I just like to thank you all for your service and for being here tonight. And again, I do wish that you were hearing this in a different way, but so appreciated. I mean, community just really values you and everything that you do. So thank you very much.
Okay, well said by all. With that, we'll call the question. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you for that. Next item is 9.9.1, solid waste recycling and collection bylaw 455/2013, amendment bylaw number 652/2026. Motion on the table that the solid waste recycling and collection bylaw 455/2013, amendment bylaw 652/2026 be granted a third reading. Do we have a motion for that?
Open it forward.
Okay, Councillor Abbott moved, second. Do we have a second or?
Yes, sir.
Councillor McLaughlin, second, discussion. We'll go around the table, Councillor Broughton. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
You need me for a second?
Yeah. Councillor Broughton.
More cameras.
Maybe we need the Sierra for this, but.
Yeah, actually, I think we need him here.
All right, we'll take a recess for a couple minutes.
Sure.
Good, watch and break, pause. Okay, we're back to the solid waste recycling collection bylaw. We've got a motion on the table for third reading. Discussion is now on hand. Councillor Broughton.
I think it's premature to be looking at this at this point in time. What happened was we dealt with this matter in December the 5th meeting. And at that time, there were a number of issues that were identified as being a concern. And that my understanding is that we were going to either meet or get more information on those, and we had not. So I think it's premature to be looking at third reading until the questions that were raised have in fact been dealt with. So I would move to table this until we've had an opportunity to get a fulsome discussion of the issues that were raised.
Okay, is that a motion on the table?
Did you want to introduce the report?
Sorry.
Well done.
Normal.
Councilor Bowden, you put a motion forward? Actually, we have a motion on the
Or
floor.
a motion
so-
to go with third reading.
So you're amending that motion? Would you like to hear from, Mr. Blackwell first?
You guys are all over the place.
Mayor, I'm confused where we are.
So first of all,
We have a motion on the table. Councilor Bowden's put forward an amendment.
okay, that's not an amendment. You have to vote on
The
it.
first was seconded. First was seconded.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Other speakers?
I was going to speak,
That's
but
right.
it's normal process for the CEO to introduce his report. Do you want to hear from him?
Mr. Blackwell?
Wait for him to come.
It would be helpful, I think, to council.
Okay, go ahead.
To help sort of frame your discussion. And I could, maybe we'll lean on Mr. Burr here too, who may have some specific dates, but, as council knows, this question of solid waste has been going on since, Carl? Since what month?
Too long.
Best part of a year?
Yeah.
Camp staff have spent an unreasonable amount of time, huge, many hours trying to find the middle ground on this. We've exhausted everything we can possibly think of. There's nothing more we can do. There's nothing more we can say. We have knowledge that the ombudsperson has weighed in on this. I can't say more than that. You cannot afford to keep kicking this down the road. You need to make a decision. So whatever that decision is, even if you pilot this, your decision for 6 months, 12 months and assess it, and at that time, consider any adjustments as necessary, at least you're moving forward. But to keep going around and around and around the topic with no direction, staff can't bring anymore. There is no more information we can give you. Mr. Bird, did you want to is there anything that you can contribute with regard to the efforts that you have put in with solid waste company and so forth?
Well, with the chair's indulgence, yeah, obviously there's been a bit of work put into this thing. I'm here to talk about specifics. If there's any questions as to why 240 liters versus 120 liters or stuff like that, the actual nuts and bolts of the proposed bylaw. But what you see before you is pretty much you saw before in first and second readings. It's just been maybe slightly rejiggered to make more comprehensive sense, standardize some definitions. Other than that, it's about as innocuous an amount of changes that we can do and still meet the requirements.
Okay, any other, okay, I'll go to Councilor Abbott and then I'll go back to Councilor Bowden.
I agree. We've seen this many times, probably way too many times to get something done. So I really need to move on with this tonight, as far as I'm concerned. I was hoping to make a gentle amendment, and that is the 5 a.m. time versus 7 a.m. I think you've all heard me say many times in the Best Mod Committee, as well as the meeting we had with the Conservation Office Services. We discussed this, and my recollection in all those meetings, that group, not this group, that group, has come back to 7 o'clock each time. So I'd like to make that the only amendment, and otherwise I'm ready to call the question with that amendment and vote.
Okay, before I go to Councilor Bowden, any other councilors wish to weigh in? Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you very much, Mayor Berry. Thank you very much, staff and Director of Operations Burr. I think this has been a process before I came on this term. I so greatly appreciate the work that's been done, the thought, the investigation, everything to come to this point. I'm ready to make my call on this one tonight. I'm supportive of Councillor Abbott's friendly recommendation to 7 a.m. I think that, as CEO Blackwell says, there's no more for staff to do. I've got all the information I need, so I'm ready to proceed. I think when the time is appropriate, I have a financing opportunity I'd like to bring to council, but let's get to that point first.
Okay, Councilor Cullen, if anything?
I'll concur, we're ready to move on from this, but I do agree with the change to the 7 a.m., knowing that there is that half-hour buffer, so if people are putting their garbage out at 6:30, that's gonna be acceptable, no one's gonna be in non-compliant with the bylaw, so I would support that amendment.
Okay, Councilor Broughton.
Okay, December the 5th, it was indicated that we were moving away from green waste pickup. And that garden waste would be limited or no longer picked up. It's my understanding.
Fair.
And
If I can,
He's allowed 2 times to speak.
No,
So,
okay,
yeah.
thank you.
The table, so.
if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, please, come with that.
There were discussions around limitations on green waste.
Mhm.
This is a requirement of our ongoing contract with Waste Control Services if we wish to retain them. However, you will see under section 7B3, there's no limitation on green waste in this amendment to the bylaw.
okay, that's helpful, thank you. Okay, we have a situation where a significant portion of our community feels that the timed, the differential timing is creating a hardship for certain individuals. And I really appreciate the attempts that have been made, and I think I said last time how much I appreciated how much time has gone into this and the attempt to make this work for everyone. But I would say that the summary here is that a significant portion of Lions Bay residents cannot or do not comply with curbside time slots. So I think the time slots are the issue, and I believe that the resident has in fact approached the ombudsperson regarding that, and I believe that there's a real concern within our community about the time slots. I look at some of the letters that were received in, I think, October, November, after the letters were sent to some of the residents who are in non-compliance. And I won't read the names out, but the letters were attached to village to the agendas. These are not plaintiff individuals. They experienced an unfairness, a difficulty in meeting this requirement. It's not a reasonable requirement, and I just cannot support it. So in terms of the other items, I mean, I'm concerned. I'm unclear on what containers are going to be approved and supplied. Under page 22, item at section 5. We're talking about all solid waste should be placed in a container of sufficient strength and designed to prevent access to or disturbance of contents by animals. We know that that's not possible. And we're talking about containers approved and supplied by the municipality. At whose cost? I'm unclear on that.
Would you like me to address that through the chair?
Did you heard that?
So you have 2 options to place your solid waste curbside. First is avail of existing time slots,
Mhm.
7:30, 9 and 10.
Mhm.
Or if that doesn't work for you, you can avail of option 7B1,
Mhm.
which is placing wildlife attractant solid waste, which is all of your solid waste, curbside. The current proposition is 5 a.m. That seems to be the earliest time that some people would like to be able to place garbage, those that have 6 a.m. shift downtown, for example, in an approved municipally supplied container. Who would pay for that? The user, just like all users pay for their garbage containers. The size would be still to be decided. The options are 120 liters or 240 liters. The issue with the 240 liter container, as I said in my report before, that's not in the agenda today, is that is heavy to take up and down Lions Bay driveways, especially for older residents. Because we do not restrict green waste, there is no reason to have a larger green waste container. The proposition had been from the contractor that you could have a green waste stream, whatever you could fit in your 240 liter container. The public works yard would be available for all remaining clean green waste. We're not going with that option. You continue to have unrestricted green waste, and I will tell you that that's not going to be for much longer. It's a topic for another day.
No, I think I agree it should be dealt with.
So it is most likely going to be 120 liter container that we will supply. That's the medium height bearcat that you've seen. It would be municipally branded, and I do mean literally branded with the branding iron. And that would be the only one acceptable because there are multiple variants of bearcat, bear resistant carts, some of which are less resistant than others. We would get the Schaefer bin modified by Rollins. I have no idea how to gauge what our initial order would be because I don't know what the interest would be in this option. Let's call it the 7B1 option. So the municipality would have to stockpile a certain number, let's say 6 dozen, 5 dozen, 100, I have no idea. Other than producing a survey, which is obviously non-obligatory. The cost would be about $200 each. You'd need two, one for landfill waste, one for green waste. You would be expected to maintain as much wildlife resistance as possible to put them out clipped. The hauler has agreed to unclip them. Now, if in the future council decided to go with universal bear carts, 120 liter carts would be too small because then you wouldn't have the option to put much green waste out. And that would kind of fly in the face of our known green waste limitation that's coming up. Then there should be 240s. We could potentially give you the option of 240 or 120. Obviously, the green waste bin contains your kitchen scraps, your wildlife attractant compostables, plus whatever else you want to put in there. The landfill, which is every 2 weeks only, is 120 is kind of small for many households. North Van, for example, one of many examples, has 240 liter containers for their 2 weekly solid waste landfill garbage stream. I know I put out 220 liter cans every 2 weeks, and I'm kind of conscious of the amount of waste that we put out, and that's family of 4. So there are many moving parts to this. What this amendment bylaw proposals, and before I forget, you will see later in the package another amendment bylaw for the solid waste bylaw to do with the rates. Just be aware you're going to be looking at this twice. So I'm not quite sure what the parliamentary procedure is around this CAO because we're going to vote third reading on this, and then we're immediately going to amend the old one or the new one. So you can ponder on that one.
I'll figure it out.
So the proposition is 120 liter bear carts if you want them. You pay for them. You can put them out after 5 or 6 or whatever the time is. I will say that 7 is probably going to be a little late for some, not many, but I certainly have spoken to people that have left the village by 6 on Friday. So maybe you want to debate that.
Okay.
The rest is pretty straightforward. Not much has changed. It's made a little more readable. We're taking up the English units that are now metric. We standardized on the use of the term. It's now a container rather than sometimes a receptacle. But the rest is pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments?
Yeah,
Councillor Abbott?
just touching on what I just heard, more some clarifications. The Director of Operations mentioned the 2 options. There is a third option, drop off at the public works yard on a Friday or a Saturday morning, Friday on your way to work, Saturday morning between 8 and 11.
If I can just interject, for wildlife attractants only.
Yeah, well, yes.
We're not gonna take your old sofa and.
No, no,
Just
I'm
wildlife
I'm talking about the garbage and the green waste, yeah, wildlife attractants. Yeah. So that is your third option. I've been working downtown for over a year now, and I've become a regular down there, and I would encourage people to go down there and take it down on a Saturday morning. I always find someone pleasant to talk to and get to meet some of the workshop guys and have a conversation with them. I encourage it. And you know, mine's in a little bags, that's all we produce. And I take a little bag, kitchen countertop bag size, 2 or 3 of them down every week. The second item I want to just comment on is Councillor Broughton referred to significant numbers of residents. We have had a survey done by bylaw. It was less than 10% first-time offenders and dropped down to 1 or 2%. I can't remember the number, really no number, repeat offenders. I think it was 4 in total. So do the math. So it's not a significant number. It's single digit in the village. It's a small number. And then the third point I just want to talk about is the 5 AM and why Bear Smart is concerned about the 5 AM. It's 2 things. It's, you know, the extra 2 hours. This is all about keeping the garbage away from the curbside, keeping the curbside as short time as possible. Extra 2 hours is problematic. But the bigger issue is municipalities that have 5 AM, and I've spoken to a few, generally do not police it and cannot enforce it, because now you have to have staff coming to work at 4 AM in the morning, because what happens is if you don't check it in the morning, people start getting the old habit of putting it out at night. That's what people used to do, is to put it out at night because they knew no one was coming around at 5. That was why they wanted to move that number up to slightly later time. That's all my final comments.
Okay, any other comments?
If I could just interject, just to point out the facts around the non-compliance. The average is indeed in a non-scientific survey 10%, but the later time slots, the non-compliance was 25%. It didn't work for a lot of people. I've done subsequent empirical and non-empirical tests, fairly subjective, driving down later time slot streets to find that virtually every house, including Lionsway Avenue, for example, every house had attractants out before 10.
Why would there be?
Okay,
So the non-compliance is pronounced in inconvenient time slots.
all right, thank you for that. Okay,
Excuse me, just
yeah,
one.
Councillor Broughton.
We're building in a disparity between, we're asking if depending on where you live, there's a different time, pickup time, and different sets of rules. And that, I think the ombudsperson may want to reach out in that. I think the number of people who, as you say, sorry, take exception to every house at their house, so there's things up before 10, because that's not accurate. But I do agree that most. But anyway, I think that we're building in an unfairness that is creating hardship for some individuals.
By making them buy an approved garbage can.
And dragging that thing around, yeah.
Well, they have to do that whatever the time slot was. So that is not an issue.
Okay,
Council
any
could
other?
consider paying for the garbage cans if you feel that's inequitable. I will point out that everybody buys their own garbage can now, some nicer than others.
Okay, all councillors have an opportunity to speak. Okay, I'll just add that I've heard the ombudsperson's name come up often, and based on the ombudsperson's recommendations, I can't support this, and it's just not equitable in my opinion. And there's many people, Mr. Burrs mentioned 25% in some cases, that aren't able to fulfill these requirements, and so.
If I could just interject, I haven't explained myself fully then. This bylaw amendment gives them the opportunity to comply by putting up the garbage anytime after 5 or 7 or
Sure.
6:30.
Sure. with specifications and as Councillor Broughton brought up, containers that, are gonna be difficult. But, look, my feedback is that, based on the ombudsperson that has been referenced many times, I can't support this. So I'll call the question. All in favor?
Yes,
Opposed? Motion carried.
thank you.
Okay. Next item is the
Just a
annual
point of
report.
clarification, was that with the friendly amendment of the 7 a.m. time
Yeah.
slot?
Thank you.
Okay, next item 9.2, and that is the annual report, for information. Mr. Blackwell, any explanation or color on that?
Not particularly, there's not really much to add, it's sort of, the next one in line, you saw the one, delivered recently for 2023. This now brings us sort of back on an even keel with regard to reporting. We will be on schedule, I hope, barring anything unforeseen, with regard to the 2025 annual report. There's nothing that is particularly significant per se that stands out there, so it's primarily for your information.
Do we need a motion?
No, purposes.
Okay, any comments? Councillor Broughton, and we'll go to Councillor Abbott.
Just thank you, I think it was great. Yeah.
Okay,
Did you really love
Councillor
that?
Abbott.
Very professional, very well done.
Very interesting.
Yeah, we've seen this a few times, or certainly I haven't gone back and forth, so I've got nothing to suggest that I would like to correct. It's great reports, all came together well. One thing that did jump out at me yesterday when I did my final scan of this thing, that I've never noticed before, is that the MESA calls, which are sorry, what was the Central Emergency? We've got, these are the call outs that are done by the fire department for health reasons. And this year have doubled on virtually any other year except 2021. I never noticed that before. And there hasn't been a steady progression. They're just sort of shot up. They're once like 21, they were higher, then they dropped right back down, low last year, and then almost more than doubled. I wouldn't mind finding out if anyone has any idea as to why that is, or is it just an anomaly for one week? I hope it is.
All right, Mr. Blackwell.
It's a very good question. Council has been, here's my roundabout answer to that. I don't have an answer. But if I were to prognosticate, I would suggest that there is an aging demographic in the community. And you're gonna start to see more and more of those. Which then brings into question some of these other conversations that council has been having sort of loosely around the table. With regard to sort of aging in place and provisions that will accommodate people through a broader period of their life, et cetera. Which again, council hasn't weighed into that yet, but it's sort of on council's radar.
We need to.
So
That doesn't-
this may well fit into,
It doesn't explain the decrease from 2021 to 2023.
yeah, no, I don't have.
Okay.
Okay, with that, we'll move on. And the building bylaw, 9.3. The motion is that the building bylaw number 649, 2025 be granted third reading. Do we have a motion for that? Moved by Councillor Broughton, second by Councillor McLaughlin. Discussion. Okay, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the involvement with the CAO and the bird friendly group. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Councillor Broughton?
Really appreciate that this is being brought to us. It was identified by the municipal advisor that we were way behind, so that's really important. I appreciate that the village solicitor has been involved in making sure, and also really appreciate the building officials' involvement. Mr. Butler's work was very professional, very, very much appreciated in terms of looking at the treatments and so on. So.
Councillor Abbott.
Yeah, it does touch on what Councillor McLaughlin says. The CEO was putting his hand up for an update. Yes, the other amendment suggested by Bird Friendly have been dealt with in a different manner. Encourage staff support. Thanks for the support on that, and hopefully we can get a good resolution there outside of this bylaw.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you. So, both counselors, a bit more detail. Yes, I've been in conversation, well, email conversation with a representative of Bird Friendly to develop some resident, like a resident resource guide for those. Because we don't have the legal authority to implement these in a building bylaw, the next best thing is to provide tools and techniques, if you will, with regard to how to manage this wildlife question optimally for those people that are seeking a resource. So I'm happy to advise that the bird friendly folks have kindly agreed to help develop that. And so when that is dealt with, completed, I will bring that forward to you, just casually, not officially, just very full information, so you can know what's out there.
Okay. I'll call the question, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, item 10.1.1 of the proposed zoning bylaw. The recommendation of the motion is that first and second reading be granted to the zoning and development bylaw 5/20/2017, amendment bylaw 6/6/3/2026 to amend the sections 1.1, 7.2, and 7.3 zoning and development bylaw number 5/20/2017 as set out in the January 8th, 2025 staff report to establish a uniform minimal parcel area of 700 square meters in the RS1 zone and remove the reference to the community amenity contributions, and that staff be directed to schedule and facilitate a public hearing in accordance with the local government act. Do we have a motion for that? So moved by Council Bowden, second. Council McLaughlin, discussion. Okay.
No, sorry, I'm going to see if anyone else wanted to say anything.
Okay, Councillor Adams.
No one else
Councillor
does.
McLaughlin.
No one else does, I'll go. Okay, so first of all, I do not agree that this is a small administrative change. And there's been several things that others have requested in the last few months, me specifically before Christmas, that we've been told they're not on the agenda, they need to go to a committee of the whole. The zoning bylaw is absolutely one, in my opinion, that needs to have the zoning bylaw change and have a considerable discussion. It's not simply moving the size of a subdivisible lot from 1,600 square meters down to 1,400 square meters, which is 15% or whatever. It actually adds significant, makes it likely to happen in based purely on the square meters, likely to happen in a significant number of more properties, because that 15,000 square feet or 1,400 square meter size is there's a lot of houses that are on that limit. I spent a little bit of time on the weekend going to encourage everyone to do this. Go look at BC assessments, punch in an address, and then there's a little, tells you how big your lot is or whatever lot you put in there, anyone's lot. And then there's a little tab that says 10 nearest properties. And then you can see the neighborhoods, the next 10 nearest properties. There are certain areas that do, as is stated in the CIO's report, that do have the small lot size as a norm. Panorama Place, Periwinkle, Seaview, a couple of places. But there are, if you do it in other areas, Upper Bayview, Ocean View, Timbertops, these kind of places, you'll find that up to 80, in one case, 90% of the lots are actually subdivisible. I know there's other things that may make a lot not subdivisible, but they are by this bylaw. I know the other difficulties they need to deal with, and we'll talk to those in a minute. But if you had a 2-acre lot and you could pull it off, according to this bylaw, you can have 12 properties on what is currently a single family residential, could now have 12 700 square meter lots. If it was possible topography and all the rest of it, I get that part. I think that's something we need to consider and imagine what it looks like. The second and third thing is we've removed the CACs. We've all had a report from the CEO explaining why CACs are no longer valid and why we can't do that. We are told the alternate are DCCs, development cost charges, or ACCs, amenity cost charges. We haven't dealt with that. before we remove the CACs, I think we need to deal with the DCCs and the ACCs, so that needs to happen before we approve this bylaw. So I think that's the cart before the horse. And the third thing, and probably the biggest thing of all, council has had many presentations about this. We know that we need to check our risk tolerance, and we need to decide whether we want different risk tolerances for higher densities and lower densities. We've discussed this. I think we all believe that is the prudent way to go. That's what other municipalities done. We haven't dealt with that either. I think we need to deal with that before we approve this as well. We do not need someone increasing density in a high risk zone, heaven forbid around a creek and something else.
Councillor Abbott, I'll ask you to wrap up so we can go around the table.
Done.
Done. Mr. Blackwell, comments?
Yeah, of course, this is why it's important that I get to introduce these reports. Because I could have answered a lot of these questions up front. So the reason this report is before you is because council passed a resolution for me to bring these amendments forward.
December the 5th.
Part of the reason for me bringing these forward is because what exists now is not legal. And it's fortunate that no one has decided to sue the municipality over the dissonance between this dissonant language, which is, I'll be blunt, it's disingenuous. The reason it's disingenuous, you're saying, well, we have two different lot sizes that you can contemplate. One, a smaller lot size you can fulfill, provided that you undertake something that we don't permit. So that's sort of bad faith. Either you permit it or you don't, and you have no, it says you can reduce it down to a smaller size if you comply with your amenity contribution policy. You don't have one. So you're telling people in your bylaw that you can do that and you don't legally permit that. So that's why. So the lot size, I mean, I have no horse in this race. The lot size already exists. Okay, so you could have an arbitrary policy that has arbitrary community amenity contributions, whatever they are. And all of a sudden you can magically reduce your lot size down to 700 square meters in the existing bylaw. You say that. So the reality is that's been contemplated. That horse has already left the gate. We've already contemplated that. So council has to decide which one you want to do. You can't do both, because one, again, I will reiterate, one, you're permitting in risk, so long as somebody does something that doesn't exist. So you got to fix that. The other parts of subdivision, it's really important to understand how subdivision works. So what a zone permits in terms of a minimum lot size frequently can't be met. For a whole pile of reasons. So reasons why people can't subdivide, regardless of the property size that exists in the bylaw, can be, they have to prove septic. They have to demonstrate that they have a buildable building envelope, and that has to be provided by a qualified professional. They have to provide a report that is technically safe. That there are no environmental issues, or if there are, how they are to be addressed. They have to, there's a whole, in the subdivision servicing bylaw that's now been established by council, there's a whole raft of servicing obligations and so forth. So there's many checks and balances that I can tell you, having been a development guy for a long time, it's going to severely limit the number of lots that are actually viable, regardless of the lot size. So again, whatever the lot size is nothing that I'm particularly inclined to make a recommendation around per se. What is key here for council to wrap its head around is that you passed a resolution for me to do this. I'm doing it. You have conflicting information that you need to fix. However you choose to fix it, you can't leave both there. You got to pick one or the other, and you got to get rid of this community amenity contribution policy reference, because it's not legal. So even if it's just to make these bylaws legal, I would strongly encourage you just to take that step.
Okay, any other comments? Councilor McLaughlin, you had your hand up?
Thank you very much, Mayor Perry. This is it's the biggest topic for me, and I just don't feel I'm quite prepared to go at great length on this. I'm happy to go part of the readings on this to have it come forward and make progress. I think I've learned more. I find it difficult to read the 100 pages of stuff. And this is not my technical expertise. So I'm doing the slow walk to buy in here, not necessarily opposed other than reducing the lot size seems like density, which is a back way of saying development, and it, my antennae says that raises the ire of the community. And why would we do that at this particular time of year? That's my piece, and I'm not entirely opposed on it since you've explained it a bit more. I'll push this on, but I'd like to know a bit more.
Okay, any other comments? Councilor Brown?
I think we definitely need to move forward. As I said, the municipal advisor certainly picked up that things were way out of whack. We then hired a CAO who was experienced CAO who was picked up that we were putting the community at risk actually legally here. So I think we need to tidy this up. There are so many hoops that have to be dealt with for subdivision in terms of septic, geotechnical is a massive one. And we're not in any way making that less important in this at all. It's a key piece to do with this. So I think I certainly think we need to do first and second reading on this.
Okay, in the spirit of legal advice and best practices, I think the first and second reading are in order. I'll call the question.
Sorry.
Okay.
Councillor Abbott,
One final comment,
another question. I don't feel that I certainly had a chance to have a discussion on the issues that I have with this tonight. And I strongly believe that only way we would do that is have a less structured committee of the whole kind of discussion where we can talk about lot sizes, we can talk about all these things, we can talk about these options of the DCCs, what do those look like? I think everyone's saying, well, not everyone, some other people have also said they don't know, they don't have all the answers they'd like to have. I really think we need to do some committee of the whole first.
Perhaps based on what I'm hearing, I can offer this to assist council. If there's an inclination to move this forward for reasons stated and a desire to weigh into it in more depth, what council could consider doing is granting first and second reading and then refer to a committee of the whole for further discussion. If anything needs to be changed, it can be done at that time. You would then be not proceeding at this time to public hearing. You'd be holding that in abeyance until you had a chance to sort of weigh in and debate some of these broader issues before you would turn your mind to whether or not you're ready to go to a public hearing.
All right,
That helps.
good suggestion. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. That's a good suggestion. Councilor McLaughlin.
We feed off that suggestion and put that resolution forward. It's not quite the appropriate way to do it, but I think there is, CO Black actually answered my piece that this isn't my area of expertise. I'd like to know more. I'd like to understand. Councillor Abbott did not get all of his things answered to his satisfaction, and it twigged my interest. I think if this was to go on a convenient committee of the whole, it would work for me.
Do we need a motion to that?
It would be handy that one.
Okay, motion to move to close or to committee of the whole. Moved by Councillor McLaughlin, second by Councillor Coniff. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, with that, we'll move. We've covered off the fire core services agreement. We'll move to solid waste utility user rate amendment bylaws. The recommendation motion is that water rates and regulations bylaw number 2, 1971 amendment bylaw number 661, 2026 be introduced and read 3 times. And the recommendation that these, do we need to do these?
Can we do all three together?
I recommend you do them individually.
Okay. So the first one on the table, do we have a mover? Moved by Councilor McLaughlin, second by Councilor Broughton. Discussion,
Question?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next motion is the sewer user rates bylaw 122, 1984 amendment bylaw number 662, 26 be introduced and read 3 times. We have a motion. Moved by Councillor Kella, second by Councillor Abbott. Discussion. Councillor Bowden,
No, sorry, I'm
all in
voting.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Third bylaw, garbage recycling collection bylaw, 455/2013, amendment bylaw number 657/2026 be introduced and read 3 times. Do we have a motion? Moved by Councillor Kella, second. Councillor Abbott, all in favor?
Yes,
Opposed?
I'm going to oppose on the basis of, I'm unhappy with that.
All
It's
opposed, based on the previous motion.
Confession, yeah.
Okay, motion carried. Item number 10.1.4 for information, the 2025 year-end bylaw department recap. Mr. Blackwell, you want to give us any explanation on that?
Thank you. So this report is just for information. It was provided by Mr. Bindra, who as much as and as desperate as he was to be here tonight, he couldn't make himself available. But it's just to recap sort of the year in review is basically it, just for your information.
Okay, any comments, Councilor Rosen?
Couple of questions.
Yes.
In terms of, the amount of the parking fines, I believe, will that be part of the discussion of the parking committee we're gonna be talking about later? Is that more of these?
Hold your breath for 10 minutes, it's gonna be there.
Okay, just a question.
Yeah.
Okay, fine amount. Do you have any indication of the percent of the collections of the parking fines? Is that something maybe we could discuss when we discuss the fine amounts as well? I think it does inform the other.
Blackwell?
Yeah, thanks. I don't have those specific details at my fingertips, but I think depends on how you want to manage parking. If it's about and this is sort of what I would be asking of council when council discusses this. We need, if staff are involved, we need specific direction.
Mhm.
So typically a parking sort of review is about understanding how many parking spaces there are and how we can add more. That's typically what it's about. If you want to include other aspects, management of parking, that's not the same thing, so you would need to sort of specify.
We're moving on to the next topic.
No, this
Not
is,
quite yet.
this is.
Okay, no,
It's
that's
the topic
fine.
that's on the table.
That's fine.
This is.
Okay, so that will be dealt with. Okay, one of the issues that residents have mentioned in terms of parking, one of the parking issues is actually the traffic issue. In terms of people driving to Mountain, finding out that Mountain there's no parking up there, and then, driving around and around to get that. So I'm sure that that'll be also be dealt with the parking committee, but I just want to be clear that traffic definitely has been raised as a very serious concern. The last question I have is just in terms of the staffing over the winter period. The bylaw enforcement officer, Mr. Bindra, is typically Monday to Friday. Does he also do shifting of his work week to Tuesday to Saturday, Sunday to Thursday type of thing, or is that,
Mr. Blackwell?
just wondering how the weekends might get?
I'm not sure you would want to advertise when your bylaw officer's working, so.
Yeah,
I can attest, I've seen him working on Sunday.
right, okay. I just wanted to get that.
Okay,
Say that out
any
loud.
other comments?
Not which
Councillor?
Sunday.
Thank you very much. Mayor Barry, I can assure Councilor Burton that every one of these items is mentioned in the following, and we're gonna hear it again in 5 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, Councillor Abbott, you had your hand.
I was just gonna comment on bylaw for some weekends. So I have noticed, I don't know if we can somehow, manage it based on weather forecast. I know that's a bit difficult to
We
do,
do as much as we can.
because we've had a couple of really wet, rainy weekends where he's been working, there's no one out, and then
Yeah.
this weekend, I saw he came out late on Sunday. Maybe that was because there was a lot of parking issues going on. So if that's what he's doing, and he's been flexible, because he knows what happened on Sunday, then I'm really pleased that he's providing that flexibility and coming out when there's an issue,
100%.
rather than when he's punch a clock.
So I asked these questions to basically to celebrate what's going on. That's your question.
Okay, no other comments. We'll move on to climate action 10.2.1. Councillor Abbott, any comments? That's for information.
Oh, the minutes, that's
And
it.
under
Sorry,
2.9.
sorry, I didn't follow. I'm not presenting anything, any one of it. Sorry, these are the minutes, just
The minutes are there, any?
the staff put
comments?
in. Now I have no comments to raise. All these items are coming to the committee of the whole. I wanted them to come early in December, that it happened. So we got them in the committee of the whole. We'll explain them then. I guess I can take questions on the minutes. If
Any
you want now.
questions for Councillor
Start on
Savin?
Monday.
No, okay. Move on to the Brunswick Beach Park Project 10.3.1. And with that, the motion on the table is that council confirmed on July 8th support for proposal Memorial Park and the naming of the Ends Park, which will be located at the end of Brunswick Road on village-owned property at the joining of the Tanny and Magnesia Creeks. And down to the waterfront, the council support the actions of volunteer study groups to come forward with proposal for council to confirm, and that such work has been completed, and next step forward for the recommendations to staff for the review and input before they submit the proposal to the council approval. Okay, motion moved by Councillor McLaughlin, second by Councillor Abbott. Questions, discussion?
Clarification.
Yeah, commence. Thank you very much, Mayor Berry. In brief, the report is there. It's 2 pages. It comes to the key points. This is a memorial all-natural garden. The idea is to involve the community as much as possible. The study group comprised of the Trailblazers, the Butterfly, the Bird Friendly Alliance Bay Group, in conjunction with the Ends children who are in favor of the steps that we're proposing taking, deem the site as appropriate. The details are there. The issue here is that the study group has done the work. It's time for council to confirm that the direction is the right one, which is what I put forward in July, and here we are. The objective is to hand the work off to staff to opine and come back to council, and if that was the case, that'd be wonderful. I think that going forward, the volunteer as the work group leadership will continue to pursue grants and continue to liaise with staff to bring the projects home. This is an important project, I believe, to the village. There is some gritty stuff for the staff to do, such as contacting the affected neighbors. I don't think that's appropriate for the volunteer groups to be doing. Ultimately, the desire to approve the resolution as provided, with staff to provide their input and bring the opportunity back to council for a decision. This was the goal that I said I was going to go for in July, and here we are. The work has been done. It's ready to go to staff. I have had some interaction with Mr. Blackwell, who he'll speak about it afterwards, but I believe that would not be in the spirit of what we're trying to do here. This is not trying to change a road end, for the sake of a better word, into an official park, change the zoning, do this, do that. In the same vein that we have not reconfigured or made part of the OCP, the Mary Como Miles Memorial Natural Garden, the Chevalier Sir Norman Kirby Memorial Garden, or even the simple Marjorie Meadows. We're trying to do this simply. It's an unused piece of property. We just like to respect the fallen and move forward.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell, you have your hand up.
I did, but I can respond to just one piece of that,
All right,
and that is, it's legally required when you establish a park, it has to be zoned for park, like anything else. You got park use that will specify the permitted types of park use, but you can't use a road end for a park or a house or a commercial building or anything other than a road. So it's not a big deal. All it would mean is that part of the process to move this forward is that council will have to be prepared to amend the OCP land use designation and zone it to an appropriate park designation. Pretty simple process.
Mayor Barry, if I may.
Yeah.
So quite
Councilor McLaughlin.
So thank you very much. You've given me a great conference. I won't use the word these are perfunctory things, but they're easily attended to.
Yes.
And at the same time that those are going on, the good work of our volunteers and staff can continue to go to bring this project home.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other comments? No? All in favor?
It's spectacular down there.
Okay, Councillor Abbott, you had your hand up?
No, I was just gonna say, it sounds like a good idea, a wonderful idea, I'm in support of it, yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes,
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next item is 10.3.2 parking plan. Highlights of the parking plan, addressing increased visitor demand, a financial overview of the parking fine revenue related to expenses, historic data, and prepare an official 2026 parking plan, with group recommendations, staff suggestions, with the village divided into 5 zones. Councillor McLaughlin, would you like to add anything before we go down the table?
The. Just want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, that's not sure. Just finishing mine plus this one, just sort of to do this. No, I'm fine, thank you, Mayor Barry, but if I can come back and initiate the conversation.
Okay, do we have a mover on these motions? Moved by Councillor McLaughlin, second by Councillor Conlon.
You may want to consider these one at a time.
Okay, do that. For the first item.
Just say you don't have to. You may
I'll
want-
lead it through if that's fine, and then we
Yeah.
can do that. Thank you very much, Mayor Barry.
First motion.
The council directs staff to develop, and this is right off the report. The council directs staff to develop a comprehensive parking plan for Lions Bay, incorporating input from staff, council, and the community to address increasing visitor demand. I'll put that forward.
Okay, second, Councillor Conlon.
But
Blackwell.
before you debate it, maybe, let me just, ask some questions that might result in this resolution being fleshed out just a little bit. To the extent it is possible, it would be helpful to put some terms of reference around what this actually entails. And when you refer to staff, do you want staff to be the technical body that does this? Because 99.99% of the time, it's an ISL or similar consulting, transportation consulting engineering company that undertakes these, but not knowing the terms of reference, I'm not really sure.
Okay,
Mayor Barry, if I may.
Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm thinking a homespun staff report's just fine with me.
TOR would be, what are you envisioning? In terms of a comprehensive parking plan, what is that in your mind's eye? Or is this something that we want?
So I like to think that with staff's expertise, it's a work in progress. I think we all know that there's a parking problem. Period.
So, sorry if I'm
Yeah.
just sort
No,
of
this is just fine.
be a little bit more fluid rather than structured right now. Or is your thinking about parking management? Is it about increasing the number of parking available? Both of those things?
I'm up for staff's input on all of those.
Okay.
May I make a suggestion? If we incorporated the first and third recommendation, there is a little bit of more direction in the third that could be incorporated with number 1. It's skeletal, but it's something.
With Councillor and kind of if it's skeletal, but I mean, I appreciate that it's been broken down like this. So I guess that the first piece is that, and I hear where Mr. Blackwell is going, I think as the first thing is that council needs to agree that we should proceed with the parking plan, whatever that may be. And that would be my motion on this.
Councillor Abbott.
so we have a parking plan. We had a lot of effort to make it in the beginning. It's had various revisions over time. Quite a lot of revisions. The most recent revisions, the most recent revisions that I'm seeing in the field didn't actually come to council, wasn't actually a council initiative, it was done by staff.
Sorry, can I ask when, roughly?
Well, there's been changes in on this term, in the last couple of years, just small changes to how signage is done. Some areas got zoned differently, excluded, included. There's been tweaks. Here's a document, I guess, that's live, it has to be. So it evolves. When I first looked at this, I thought, and it specifically says, it refers to the park, emphasizing the areas of Alberta Creek, sorry, of the bridge of Alberta Creek, Bayview, Mountain Drive, Sunset, that section. You might want to add Stuart to that list, because they're right in the thick of it and they don't want to be left out. So my understanding, my question is this taking our current or maybe even very first version that was developed with a lot of input and updating that section of it? Is that what we're trying to do here? Or are we?
Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you very much for me. The aim is to move towards a formalized plan. If the one that's currently on the shelf is modified to do that, or it's just updated and then fresh stuff's incorporated. I mean, we're not going to throw away what we already have, which staff will be able to explore. So the thing is that I've used 2026. It's the year we're in. We've got the problem coming up, and let's recognize that for what it is and decide on how we as council through staff are going to lead our community through this.
I think we've, by the way, I'm in favor of more study on this and looking at it closer. I think there's been a request since the beginning of this council for an actual parking financial analysis, which I don't believe we've seen one, have we?
Yep.
Okay, it doesn't stick in my mind, but we also had a parking task force, so that would be some information you would want to roll into any initiative.
Those were attached at the bottom of the recommendation.
Yeah.
And I think really the aim of the study group and myself was to push this forward to staff and to narrow the big field into a smaller field so that we can implement whatever we're going to implement this year, but also address things that, you know, residents may say, why aren't we going to the Brunswick pit area? Why aren't we doing as Joffrey Creek has done and done a reservation system? I think we can cover some of these things. I wouldn't suggest that they're going to happen in 2026, but I think we should address them and go with this.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell.
This is it. Actually, parking plans are fun. I've done them for small communities who are the most concerned about these sorts of issues, it seems to me. But I should warn you that the parking plan that I'm familiar with, it's gonna take about 80 hours of staff time to do. Takes a lot of work to inventory, to double check, to meet with people, to meet again with people. And that's 80 hours on top of committed workload. So I'm not saying it's impossible for us to do, but we have to be sort of really careful how we scope the terms of reference.
Councillor Conlon?
I would say
Councillor
that
Abbott?
that's 80 hours that's well spent. This is one topic that the community is constantly discussing. It is almost unbearable some days in the summertime to get around the village without being concerned that you're gonna witness a child get hit by a car. Because there's simply not a plan in place for people that decide they're gonna get in their car and come out on a beautiful day and then are impatient. And it's one of the biggest issues facing our community. So I think we need to get a wholesome, thorough look at all options that are available. It ramped up during COVID and it has never gone down. It has only gotten worse. And to Councillor Broughton's point, with the people waiting to pull into parking lots, hoping on winging a prayer that someone's gonna leave, and you have 12 cars backed up, blocking traffic, and people going one way in oncoming traffic. And that happened at both Kelvin Grove Beach and Lions Bay Beach multiple times this last summer, which is something that I had actually not witnessed before. So it's not gonna go away.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell and Councillor Abbott.
So I'm hearing different things here. So that's a traffic management plan. You can't manage the number of people that show up and create the problems.
Well, I think you can if we look at the Joffrey Lake model of a reservation system. I do think that there is options there to look at.
But fair ball, where I was going with this is, you can't control the volume of traffic, that comes by itself. Whether a community has a reservation system or not, just deals with parking. Doesn't deal with traffic. So they're two separate issues. Traffic, the number, the volume of vehicles that show up. And then parking, the number of vehicles and the efficiency and effectiveness associated with them finding spots. They're separate. You may have 500 cars show up for 12, what did you call them? They call it, Joffrey, what's it called?
Joffrey, like,
The permits.
What do they call it? The reservations.
Yeah.
So, you know, you could have, I'm exaggerating, but you could have 500 cars show up.
This would be something you pre-book and to confirm reservation.
Right, and then people will still come from the lower mainland. So all I'm trying to do here is set expectations that even having the best plan to manage parking, it's not gonna have any effect. It's gonna have almost no effect on the volume of people that are driving by and pull off the highway.
I think that it will, once it gets some teeth into it. People are not gonna drive to Joffrey Lake to expect, with the expectation that they're gonna park and hike without having a reservation in place more than one time. So it may not be an immediate fix, and I agree that traffic management is a separate issue, but this is going to address those concerns longer term, which is what this community really needs.
Councillor Adam.
Yeah, so I think we just certainly need to spend the time to look at this, and as the one councillor that lives in one of the identified problem areas, I certainly want to be part of that review. So please include me in it. And, you know, and I know a lot of the residents that have provided concerns and input into this. I don't necessarily agree with you. You can't control the number of people that come to the village by restricted parking, because to take an extreme, when we closed the parking at one time due to the fire risk, hikers dried up. They found out and they stopped coming. I'm not suggesting we're going to have no parking in Lions Bay, and that's what we're going to do. So people do learn fast. If they're driving this far out and they can't get a parking spot, they can't do the hike. They tell people, and the word gets around and they stop coming. So it does have an impact. I still feel the existing plan, working group, whatever that looks like, I'd like to be involved, review of what may or may not, what is and isn't working. Is probably the best place to start. I'll be happy to join in on that.
All right, anything else before we call the question on the first motion?
Well, what are we doing? Is this the first and the third now?
I think it's just a further.
Just the first, we're going one at a
First at the moment, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, motion carried.
If I may,
Yeah,
If I could just add to this, I will have to bring something back to council. Because staff are gonna have to not do some work that you set out in your strategic plan. Staff don't have 80 hours sitting around that they can plug in, so they're gonna have to not do something. And that's 2 weeks of solid time that infrastructure work doesn't get done or something. So staff can't make that decision. Council are gonna have to decide what staff need to put the tools down on in order to do this as a priority.
I think
Just
all of us
setting the
respect
stage.
your.
okay, Councillor, Councillor McLaughlin.
Good, the second one's fairly easy, and I, with Neverberry, I don't quite remember explaining that on this. The staff provided financial overview, including parking and fine revenue, related expenses, historical data 20 to 25, providing projected 26 figures and yearly visitor counts accompanied by management notes as applicable. This is an in-house accounting function. I put that motion forward.
Okay, second, Councillor Cunliffe, we've had discussion, all in favor?
Yes.
Thank
Opposed,
you.
motion carried.
Thank you.
Third item,
Thank you. That staff prepare, and I think we're starting to get on the same page here. The staff prepare an official, if staff wants to rename this, however they will, I'm calling it the official 26 parking plan, that's fine. Incorporating study group recommendations and staff suggestions with the village, and I've arbitrarily divided into 5 zones, which have their own issues, and they are emphasizing area, well, 5 zones, emphasizing area from the bridge over Alberta Creek, Bayview and Mountain Drive to Sunset, and that the parking plan be presented to council for review and amendments. I'll put that motion forward.
second, Councillor Cunliffe, all in favor?
Yeah.
With the addition of Stuart.
And lastly, this is really to bring it home, and
Carried.
and And this is that, staff does their fulsome review. And that following, council review, the plan be published in the village update for 2 consecutive weeks to inform residents and invite participation. And that a committee of the whole meeting be held to gather community feedback directly.
Okay, second. Counselor Conlon, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. I think we're done on this, and
Okay.
let's just count the rest of this as background data. The study group that I have, which seemingly keeps expanding, we're just going to feed the stuff to staff. We don't have an opinion on it, but we'll assist and we'll work where we can. And we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Member.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to correspondence, item 13.
Just a second. Your 10.5?
10.5 special
Oh.
meeting.
Special council meeting?
Yeah, good. Okay, we discussed at the end of the last special meeting that we would hold an additional special meeting with Mr. Lidstone, Don Lidstone, to attend. My suggestion is that we tack it on to Monday evening's committee of the whole, which starts at 6, so we can do an 8 o'clock start, or alternatively, we cancel I guess we have a meeting on Tuesday. Is that what meeting is?
It's the climate action
Climate
committee.
Action Committee, we could either readjust that or do the Monday.
I'll power through Monday for me.
Okay. Other counselors?
So, sorry, I was just pulling up my calendar. You suggest that Monday post the committee of the whole meeting?
Yeah, no, it'll be started at 8 o'clock. Committee of the whole goes 6 till 8, and then we'll do an 8 o'clock start.
Special council?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
Put it
all
forward.
in agreement? Yeah, moved by
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin, second by Counselor Conlon, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. The other item was we were going to address, the absenteeism. I know we had a discussion earlier, but we were going to schedule that for the upcoming meeting. Would you like to schedule it for Monday evening?
It's fine.
Okay,
I'll put that forward.
all right, second. Counselor Conlon, all in favor?
Sure.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, correspondence, Counselor Abbott.
Well, I can sum up our correspondence in one simple statement. Bill M216 is not popular with municipalities. It's back on another 5 times. And then we get our normal monthly SIT report, so there's nothing to discuss.
Okay, any questions, comments? No, Mr.
I'm
Blackwell?
just wondering, if in the correspondence section, you wish to take a look at that draft letter I circulated to you, which
Okay.
was correspondence the last time, and the direction was to provide a draft and to bring it back to council. That is the draft. Council could kindly let me know, what changes, if any, you would like to see.
So you provided this to us by email
I can't remember,
previously, yeah.
did I? I don't think so.
No, they can-
No?
No.
You sent it to Mary Brown.
Mary Brown. Oh, no, CC council.
CC.
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
CC council, that's right.
You're losing it, you guys.
I can lose it easily over small printing.
Okay, yeah, so I thought it was excellent and it was.
Ready to,
Yeah.
it's fine with Mrs. Brown, I'm good too.
I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have any further
You
comments.
need a resolution?
Nope, I just need to know who you want to have sign it, whether you want the mayor to sign it or
I
me
like-
to sign it.
For me, I like the mayor.
I will finalize the letter and verify.
Excellent.
Okay, you all fine with that?
Yeah.
Counselor Brown?
Mary Brown, broke her ankle.
3 places.
Anyway, so
Six
can
months.
we send some kind of acknowledge?
I was at the side of the road when they picked her up.
Okay,
Okay, anyway,
all right.
sorry to
Uh,
happen.
Next item,
Yeah,
new
well-
business.
Get well, Mary, yeah.
Any other business?
Just, back to new business.
Yeah.
Thank you for me. And the item I drew up, was, to request my colleagues whether they considered it would be value to draw a new topic at the committee of the whole. This references, Councillor Broughton's request about the tree permit application that has been visited by council members, either together or individually, or whatever. That it will come up to the first meeting in, February. Whether there would be an interest of council if the 2 other members of the tree committee, if they were available, and if they were of mind to, could attend the committee of the whole. the council had any questions for them.
Okay, I can ask them if council would like.
That's fine, and I guess the caveat to that is that I'd much rather we all got to them at one point versus any one of us calling them independently and then we muck it up. Okay,
Sounds good. Okay,
we'll leave it with you. Actually, Mayor Barry, we'll leave it with you entirely that if it's a yes, then they're on. If it's a no, they're not.
that sounds good. Okay, public questions in the gallery.
Right, you should probably have a resolution.
Invite the three committees.
Just so it's for.
Okay, moved by
Okay.
Councilor McLaughlin,
The next committee.
second by Councilor Conlon, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed?
What,
Motion
sorry,
carried.
before we, but what are we inviting them to discuss? This particular permit application? That's what you suggested?
I
Or is
have,
this a bigger discussion
I have questions for members.
in general? Not
In
just-
general.
Okay, here's my concern. Three things that I've been trying to get in front of council since December. We've now cut the meeting back to 2 hours. If you want to do that, that's fine, but please can we make sure that the stuff that I've been asking to do, because it is time bound, it's grant related, grants are open. Can we make sure we deal with them first? Because I know what's gonna happen, they're gonna come and because they're in the audience, we're gonna deal with that stuff first. They're gonna take up the 2 hours. So I'd rather schedule another thing that's gonna impact that.
I think we'll try to limit it, but what might be helpful is if you've got a list of questions, Councilor McLaughlin, that are
Or the-
outside of,
Forward them to you.
yeah, Kelvin
Thank you.
Grove. Okay, great. All right, we'll move on.
I don't think you called the question. Did you?
We did, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay, no other new business questions, on the gallery. Anyone in the gallery like to ask a question, please raise your hand electronically. No?
No.
Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting.
Moot,
Okay, moved by Councilor Evans, second by Councilor Thomas, all in favor?
yes.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you to everyone.
Before you go, if I could bend your ear just a